Hello, everybody. Welcome back to an episode of My Thoughts. And today I'm going to be reviewing the new Oppenheimer movie, or just pretty much giving my thoughts, which is, it's not necessarily a review because typically reviewers give their biased or unbiased opinion, I should say. Um, Whatever. Nonetheless, it's pretty much my thoughts on the brand new Oppenheimer movie that just came out. It's more of a history movie, if you will, on the history. I mean, if you guys know your history or whatever you know about Oppenheimer and everything. It's also a very popular movie amongst the Barbie movie, which we're just not going to talk about that. That's just irrelevant. Um, I just refuse to get into that. But I did see Oppenheimer because, of course, Oppenheimer is something. It was a very interesting movie to say the least. I'm just gonna be pretty much just be giving my raw, unfiltered opinion on it. Kind of look at it as like kind of how I did my Pink Tape review and kind of like my past two album reviews that I've done for music, and take that and just pretty much put it into movie form, like me pretty much giving my thoughts on a movie. I haven't done my thoughts on a movie. I don't think I have. Um, but I probably will be doing more movie, not necessarily movie reviews, but just my thoughts on movie, which is just pretty self-explanatory. But I'm pretty sure this is the first my thoughts I've done on a movie, which should be pretty interesting. But you know, it's a popular movie, and I figured I'd talk about it. And I saw the movie and everything, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I figured, why not do my thoughts? Um, we're kind of rolling with my thoughts, so we're gonna get right into it. So Oppenheimer is a very good movie. It's certainly not a bad movie. I saw it in theaters with a few friends, and it's certainly not a bad movie. I'm just gonna come right off the bat and say that it's not a bad movie. It's a interesting movie to say the least. Now, of course, it is historically and politically accurate to what actually happened, like with the making of the atomic bomb and everything. Now, if you were a lover of history and, then this is definitely the movie for you. Like I said, it's more of a history movie and, what happened with Oppenheimer and the making of the atomic bomb. It's, if that's your kind of thing, like if you like history and like it's set during World War II times, and if you're interested in like World War II times and like I said, the making of the atomic bomb, it's definitely more or less the movie for you. And I'm definitely into history. I'm a history person. Not particularly, strictly World War II times. I am a very I just really like any war history, like any political history that kind of has something, to do with like pretty much primarily the history of America and kind of stuff like that, certain times. And I'm really into that. So it was this movie I'd say was right up my alley. And it goes back and forth between Oppenheimer's security hearing and like his actual time making the bomb, and it really gets into the science making of the bomb and like the science math and like pretty much all the political structure that went around making the atomic bomb, and um, pretty much kind of based off the real events, and it showed pretty much what Oppenheimer was going through during this time of making the bomb, and also showed what he was going through pretty much the entire other half of the movie. Because here's how I divide it, and I'm not really going to give any big spoilers, just probably light spoilers, but nothing too major in terms of like how the movie turns out. But in terms of you know after the bomb detonated, pretty much the entire second half of the movie is just Oppenheimer's security hearing and pretty much him, and his security clearance outcome. And if you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. If you watch the movie or you're waiting to watch the movie, you will see what I mean. Um, but pretty much the other half of the movie just goes through a security hearing, and then the first half of the movie is him like building the atomic bomb, the political ideology behind building the atomic bomb, and all of the politics surrounding it. And like, there was certainly, of course, a certain amount of controversy going around, um, when they were building the atomic bomb and the science behind it. And that's very interesting because I've never really gotten into political movies. Like, I've watched documentaries. I'm more into like documentaries about political things and history and stuff, like historical documentaries. but I never really got into history movies, if that makes sense. Like a movie based around like historical events. I've never really gotten into that kind of stuff, like a scripted movie. I've never really gotten into that kind of stuff, and Oppenheimer is kind of like the first movie I've watched about history. Like I'm just trying to make it make sense. Like I've watched documentaries. Like there's a difference between a documentary about history or a movie about history, like a history movie. Um, at least in my eyes. But so Oppenheimer is certainly one of the first, and the probably one of the best movies I've watched that based off history times and all that kind of stuff. It's certainly one of the best movies I've seen in terms of that, and it really showed a lot of good stuff. Like, especially like I said, the science is probably my favorite. Than the making of the atomic bomb, and the struggle. It showed the struggles that Oppenheimer went through. Like I said, it showed him building Los Alamos, the where the atomic bomb was dropped and tested and all. He ran all these tests and stuff. The building of the government facility, Los Alamos, and showed everything kind of going into that. And when he first got there and like started building around it and everything, showed a meeting with the president. Like it showed him all these kind of different things that you would expect. But of course, there's a lot of hype going in around this movie. It's another popular movie amongst the other one that I'm not really going to talk about. But there was certainly a certain amount of hype going around this movie, and I figured I'd kind of cave in and watch it. It's not that I didn't want to watch it. It's just not necessarily something I was too interested in watching. It wasn't at the top of my watch list. But I did my fair amount of research before watching the movie, and it was a good movie. And if I'm gonna give my honest opinion on it, I'd give it like a 7.6 out of 10. I don't even know if that's it's almost to an 8, but I can't necessarily give it an 8. It's 7.2 out of 10. I don't know what I'm really talking about. It's 7 point something out of 10. The point where it's almost at 8. But it was a great movie. It really showed like a lot of it showed a lot of what actually happened, and it's historical was accurate. It's historically accurate. It certainly told the story the right way, and I think it was a great movie. If it was, sometimes there was like times where it got a little bit confusing for me, and I wasn't necessarily sure what was going on, but it certainly straightened itself out to the point where then I did know what was going on. I was like, oh, so that's what's going on. It kind of is more of a slow paced movie, and it is a longer movie. I think it was like 3-ish hours, 2.5 to 3 hours, I think, around that time. So it certainly is a longer movie. It takes more time to, it kind of takes time for, at least for me, this is how, my personal experience. Now, for other people, it might not be like that, but for me personally, it took some time to kind of process what was going on and, kind of get up to speed on, how it was making sense. But, eventually everything started to click and it made sense of what was going on. And then it became, and it didn't really take long for it to click for me, but eventually it kind of started to make sense, and then it became an enjoyable movie. And even before that, it was an enjoyable movie. But it's more of a thinking movie, and you kind of got to take time to make sense of it. Like I said, for me and for other people, it could be completely different. But at least for my experience, it was a very thinking kind of movie. Like you kind of got to take your time and like observe everything that's going on. Otherwise, it could get pretty confusing, and you won't really understand what's going on. But when of course, when you do make sense of it all, like I said, it can get confusing at times. But when you do make sense of it all, it definitely straightens itself out, and it is a great movie. And like I said, I personally loved it. I gave me a rating on it. I personally loved it. I really have no too much complaints. Like I said, there were some like slower parts of it where some of it didn't really make sense, and then sometimes the movie just kind of slowed down, and it wasn't really as fast paced as it some of the parts went. But it kind of had to crawl for the entire movie to be able to run, if that makes sense. Like there were some slow parts that kind of needed to happen for the movie to get like to be interesting. So, but the whole movie was aesthetically pleasing. Like I said, the historical element of it, of course, was definitely pleasing to me from my perspective, and it was a great movie. I can't say that enough. It was certainly a good movie, and I would definitely recommend it to you guys out there who like historical things, like World War II and everything, because that's of course when it was based around. So if you're like a fan of like World War II history and stuff like that, I would definitely recommend this movie to you, and it's a great movie in terms of that. And that's pretty much all I have to say. If I watch another movie, because like I said, if it's a fairly popular movie, and plus I just wanted to watch it, and I figured why not give my thoughts on it. Um, but I'll be doing, I could be doing more of my thoughts on movies. If I watch a movie and I find it to be worth talking about, then I certainly will come on here and do my thoughts on it. If I watch like another new movie and stuff, something like that, then I'll definitely do another my thoughts on it. But pretty sure, yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure this is the first like movie kind of review my thoughts I did anyway. So, but there could be more of these in the future. I guess we'll find out. But that's pretty much it. So comment down below. What did you guys think of Oppenheimer? If you guys watched it, or if you haven't watched it, if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend you watch it. Like I said, if you're a fan of like World War II history and stuff like that, um, it's definitely pleasing in that effect. But if you already have watched it, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Let's discuss that. And with that being said, that's pretty much it. So make sure to subscribe for more content, like the video, all that good stuff. Discord, Twitch, Instagram, links in the description. We're growing. We have over 300 subscribers now, and I cannot thank you all enough. I forgot to say that last video, um, but I cannot thank you all enough for over 300 subscribers now. Um, can't thank you all enough. We're growing every day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.